the only thing that matters is how fast are you going horizontal to the Earth's surface.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. The wealthiest man in the world, Elon Musk, has a colorful backstory filled with highs and lows. In the following clips, Musk reassures us that life is a journey, not a race. In this interview, Musk explains that although we don't have to be traveling in space right now, we need to hurry before we all forget how to go back to space in the first place.
When I interview somebody, I really just ask them to tell me the story of their career.
Waiting around for improved space travel won't accomplish anything. In this video, Musk discusses his perception of time itself. We need to set aside time and places in our hearts for things to be passionate about. He also tells us again that we should consider the possibility that these simulations may become indistinguishable from reality someday, and that we should prepare to adjust for it. Regardless, we should find meaning in the work we decide to do. We should take big risks while we are still youthful to be able to pursue things that inspire us. He states that we should prepare to work every waking hour if we want to build a business. Despite all of Musk's achievements, he never had a solid idea of what he wanted to do. We should always question reality and treat our lives like a long, meaningful quest.
And then like, if I think of some of the ways in which, how does a smart engineer make dumb mistakes? When I was a kid, I was wondering kind of what's the meaning of life, and I came to the conclusion that what really matters is trying to understand the right questions to ask. And the more that we can increase the scope and scale of human consciousness, the better we are able to ask these questions. And so I think that there's certain things that are necessary to ensure that the future is good, and there need to be reasons to get up in the morning. Life can't just be about solving problems. Otherwise, what's the point? There's got to be things that people find inspiring and make life worth living. I find as I get older, I find that question to be maybe more and more confusing or troubling or uncertain. I think particularly when you see the advancement of something like video games. Like say 40 years ago, you had video games. The most advanced video game would be like Pong, where you had like two rectangles and a dot. That was a pretty fun game at the time. But now you can see a video game that's photorealistic and millions of people playing simultaneously. If you extrapolate that out into the future with any rate of progress at all, like even 0.1% or something like that a year, then eventually those games will be indistinguishable from reality. They'll be so realistic, you will not be able to tell the difference between that game and the reality as we know it. How do we know that that didn't happen in the past and that we're not in one of those games ourselves? The sustainable energy future, I think, is largely inevitable, but being space-based civilization is definitely not inevitable. If you look at the progress in space, in 1969 we were able to send somebody to the moon. 1969. Then we had the space shuttle. The space shuttle could only take people to low Earth orbit. Then the space shuttle retired, and the United States could take no one to orbit. So that's the trend. The trend is like down to nothing. This is not, people are mistaken when they think that technology just automatically improves. It does not automatically improve. It only improves if a lot of people work very hard to make it better. And actually, it will, I think, by itself degrade. You look at great civilizations like ancient Egypt, and they were able to make the pyramids, and they forgot how to do that. And the Romans, they built these incredible aqueducts. They forgot how to do it. I was trying to think, what is the most useful thing that what could I say that could actually be helpful or useful to you in the future? And I thought perhaps tell the story of how I sort of came to be here. How did some of these things happen? When I was young, I didn't really know what I was going to do when I got older. If I can do some of those things, basically if I can advance technology, then that's like magic, and that would be really cool. And I was at sort of a slight existential crisis, because I was trying to figure out what does it all mean? Like, what's the purpose of things? And I came to the conclusion that if we can advance the knowledge of the world, if we can do things that expand the scope and scale of consciousness, then we're better able to ask the right questions and become more enlightened, and that's really the only way forward. Really liking what you do, whatever area that you get into, given that even if you're the best, there's always a chance of failure. So I think it's important that you really like whatever you're doing. If you don't like it, life is too short. If you like what you're doing, you think about it even when you're not working. It's something that your mind is drawn to, and if you don't like it, you just really can't make it work, I think. Depending upon how well you want to do, and particularly if you're starting a company, you need to work super hard. When my brother and I were starting our first company, instead of getting an apartment, we just rented a small office and we slept on the couch. And we showered at the YMCA, and We're so hot up, we had one computer. So the website was up during the day, and I was coding at night. 7 days a week, all the time. So briefly had a girlfriend in that period, and in order to be with me, she has to sleep in the office. Work hard like every waking hour. That's the thing I would say, particularly if you're starting a company. And I mean, if you do simple math, say like, okay, if somebody else is working 50 hours and you're working 100, you'll get twice as much done in the course of a year as the other company.
Well, that's all for today. Thanks for watching, and consider subscribing for more motivational videos.